In our village, a woman without a child is never just a woman. She becomes a whisper. Her name was Nala. Every morning, she swept the front of her hut slowly, carefully, like the dust itself might judge her. Women passed by with babies tied to their backs. Children ran around her feet. And the laughter always came, soft at first, then louder when they thought she couldn't hear. Still empty, one woman would mutter. Maybe she angered the ancestors, another said. Or maybe she was never meant to be a mother. Nala heard everything. She had been married for 10 years. 10 years of herbs. 10 years of prayers. 10 years of hope rising and breaking quietly. Her husband, Bako, once defended her. At first. But time changes men when villages start talking. He grew distant. Silent. Ashamed. Sometimes, when the mocking grew louder, he walked ahead of her, pretending not to know her. That hurt more than the words. One afternoon, during a naming ceremony, the women gathered in a circle. Babies were passed from arm to arm. Songs filled the air. Someone laughed and said loudly, "Nala, come hold this child. Maybe it will teach your womb what to do." The circle erupted in laughter. Nala stood frozen. Her hands trembled, but she did not cry. She simply turned and walked away. That night, she did something she had never done before. She walked past the village. Past the river. And into the forest where women were warned never to go alone. Because the ancestors listen best. Where mockery cannot follow. And something in the darkness was already waiting for her. The forest was quiet in a way the village never was. No laughter. No whispers. No pointing fingers. Only the sound of Nala's breathing and the slow rhythm of her feet against the earth. She walked until the moon climbed high and the trees grew thick, their roots twisting like old memories. This was the place elders warned about, the place where women with heavy hearts sometimes went and never came back the same. At the center of the forest stood an ancient fig tree, its trunk wide, scarred by time. Cloth offerings hung from its branches, faded prayers left by women long before Nala was born. Her legs gave out. Nala knelt in the dirt and pressed her forehead to the ground. "I am tired," she whispered. "Tired of being laughed at. Tired of being blamed for what I cannot control." Her voice cracked. "If my womb is empty," she said, "then tell me why. If I am cursed, show me the reason. But if I am not, then take this pain away from me." The wind shifted. Leaves rustled, though there was no breeze. The air grew warm, heavy, like something unseen had stepped closer. "Nala." Her body stiffened. The voice was not loud. It did not threaten. It sounded old. Female. Familiar. "You cry for a child," the voice said, "but you do not yet see what you carry." Nala lifted her head, trembling. From the shadows, a figure appeared. A woman shaped from moonlight and soil, eyes deep like the earth itself. "The village mocked your womb," the spirit continued. "But they never asked what the ancestors placed in your hands instead." Tears streamed down Nala's face. "I only wanted to be a mother," she whispered. The spirit stepped closer. "And you will be," she said softly. "But not in the way they expect." The ground beneath the fig tree began to glow. And in that moment, Nala felt it. Not a kick in her womb, but a fire in her chest. A calling she had never been taught to name. Nala staggered back as the light beneath the fig tree faded. The spirit's form softened, like mist returning to the earth. "Wait," Nala whispered desperately. "Tell me what you mean. What do I carry?" But the forest had gone quiet again. Only the echo of her own heartbeat answered. She walked back to the village before dawn, feet aching, mind heavy. Nothing looked different, but she felt different, like something invisible had been placed on her shoulders. That morning, the village woke to cries. A child had collapsed near the well, burning with fever. By midday, 2 more followed. Mothers wailed. Fathers ran in circles, helpless. The elders called for herbs. The healers tried everything they knew. Nothing worked. Nala watched from the edge of the crowd, her chest tightening with every cry. Then she felt it again, the same heat she had felt beneath the fig tree. Stronger now. Urgent. Without thinking, she stepped forward. "I can help," she said softly. The crowd went silent. Someone laughed. "The Barren one? What does she know about saving children?" Even her husband Bako grabbed her arm. "Don't embarrass yourself," he whispered harshly. But Nala pulled free. She knelt beside the sick child and placed her hand on his chest. The heat surged through her palm, burning, frightening, yet guided. Her eyes widened as words she had never learned formed in her mouth, prayers older than the village itself. She whispered them. The child's breathing slowed. The fever broke. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Nala pulled her hand back, shaking. She looked at her palm like it belonged to someone else. The elders stared at her in disbelief. "What did you do?" one asked. Nala swallowed hard. "I don't know," she said truthfully. "But the ancestors do." And in that moment, the village felt the first crack in the story they had told about her. The silence after the child opened his eyes was heavier than any insult Nala had ever endured. Mothers clutched their children tighter. Fathers stepped back. The same mouths that once laughed now stayed shut. "This is witchcraft," someone whispered. Nala stood slowly, her legs weak, her heart pounding. The heat in her chest had faded, leaving behind a deep ache, like she had carried something heavy and just set it down. "I didn't hurt him," she said, voice trembling. "I only listened." But fear does not listen to explanations. The elders gathered in a tight circle. Their eyes followed Nala wherever she moved. Bako avoided her gaze completely, shame and confusion fighting on his face. That evening, another child fell ill. Then another. This time, the mothers came to Nala's hut. Not laughing. Not mocking. Begging. "Please," one woman cried, dropping to her knees. "Save my son." Nala's hands shook as she helped them. Each time she touched a child, the same fire returned, strong, precise, exhausting. Each child lived. By nightfall, the village was divided. Some called her blessed. Others called her dangerous. "She has no children of her own," one man said bitterly. "Yet she holds power over ours." The words cut deep. Nala sat alone in her hut, tears falling silently. She had wanted love. Acceptance. Instead, she had become something the village didn't know how to name. And when people cannot name power, they try to destroy it. That night, the elders made a decision. At dawn, they would summon Nala. Not to thank her, but to judge her. At dawn, the drum sounded once. Low. Heavy. Final. Nala walked to the center of the village alone. No one walked beside her, not even Bako. Women who once mocked her now avoided her eyes. Mothers whose children she had saved clutched them close, torn between gratitude and fear. The elders sat in a half-circle beneath the old acacia tree. "You were mocked for being barren," the head elder began. "Now you are feared for holding power. Tell us, Nala, where did this power come from?" Nala's throat tightened, but she stood straight. "I went to the fig tree," she said. "I asked the ancestors why my life carried only emptiness. They answered." Murmurs spread. "The ancestors choose vessels," an elder muttered. "Not women without children." That was when Nala felt the fire again, quiet, steady, unafraid. "Who taught you that?" she asked gently. "Was it the ancestors, or your fear?" The elders stiffened. A man shouted from the crowd, "If she truly serves the ancestors, let her prove it." They brought a dying infant forward, burning, barely breathing. The mother collapsed at Nala's feet. "Please," she sobbed. "If you can save him, do it." The crowd leaned in, hungry for certainty. Nala knelt. She placed her hands on the child and closed her eyes. She did not beg this time. She listened. The fire moved through her like a river finding its path. The child cried. Strong. Alive. The crowd gasped. The head elder stood slowly, his voice unsteady. The ancestors have spoken. But before relief could reach Nala's chest, he added, and such power cannot belong to one woman alone. Nala looked up. She understood then. They were no longer judging her worth. They were deciding who would control her. The elders argued among themselves, voices low but sharp. She must stay under our watch. She should be guided. No woman should carry such power alone. Nala listened quietly. For years, they had spoken about her like she wasn't there. About her womb. Her worth. Her silence. Now they spoke about her power the same way. The fire in her chest grew warmer, not angry, not wild, certain. I am not something you can hold, Nala said calmly. The elders fell silent. I did not ask for this gift, she continued. I asked for truth. The ancestors answered me, not you. Bako stepped forward then, his voice shaking. Nala, please. Don't make this worse. She turned to him slowly. For 10 years, I carried shame so you wouldn't have to, she said softly. Do not ask me to carry fear for you too. That night, the elders tried to keep her in the village. But the ancestors moved faster than men. The sky darkened suddenly. Wind whipped through the acacia tree. The ground trembled just enough to remind everyone who truly watched over them. Mama Zola, the oldest woman in the village, silent for years, rose with effort. Enough, she said. You mocked her because she was barren. Now you fear her because she is full. The ancestors do not make mistakes. She turned to Nala. Go, she said. Do what you were meant to do. Before sunrise, Nala left the village. No insults followed her. No stones. No laughter. Only eyes, wide with realization. Because the woman they tried to control had just become something far greater. Free. Nala walked for days. Through villages where no one knew her name. Through paths where no one pointed or whispered. Through silence that felt lighter than the noise she'd left behind. At first, she thought she was alone. Then she noticed the women. A young mother sitting by the road, rocking an empty bundle, eyes hollow with fear. An older woman leaning against a tree, coughing, ignored by those who passed. A girl barely grown, shaking with pain, told to endure quietly. The fire in Nala's chest stirred every time she passed suffering. She stopped. She listened. She placed her hands gently, never forcing, never claiming power as her own. And wherever she stayed, even for one night, things changed. Fever broke. Breath returned. Tears slowed. Word traveled faster than feet. She doesn't ask for payment. She doesn't stay long. She leaves before praise can find her. Women began to walk with her. Not as followers. As companions. Some had children. Some had lost them. Some had never been allowed to want them. Around night fires, Nala spoke for the first time about the fig tree. About how motherhood was not only carried in the womb, but in hands, in patience, in courage. You are not empty, she told them. You are carrying something the world hasn't learned how to name. The women listened. And for the first time, many of them felt seen. Far away, Nala's village began to feel the weight of her absence. Children still lived. But something was missing. Because the woman they mocked had taken with her the last excuse they had to ignore their own cruelty. Seasons passed. Rain came. Crops grew. Children were born. But Nala never returned. Not because she was bitter. Not because she was afraid. But because her purpose had outgrown one village. Wherever she went, women spoke her name softly, not as a miracle, not as a healer, but as proof. Proof that worth is not measured by wombs. Proof that motherhood wears many faces. Proof that power answers to courage, not permission. Back in her village, things changed slowly. Not magically. Not perfectly. But differently. When a woman struggled to conceive, no one laughed anymore. When a woman chose another path, no one rushed to shame her. When elders spoke, they spoke more carefully. Because they remembered the day they lost Nala. And what they lost with her. One evening, Mama Zola sat beneath the fig tree alone. She placed a cloth offering on the roots and whispered. They mocked her because she was barren. But they were shocked by what she carried. Far away, Nala stood on a hill at sunset, surrounded by laughter, not cruel laughter, but shared joy. Children ran past her. Women cooked together. Life moved freely. A young girl asked her once, "Are you a mother?" Nala smiled gently. "Yes," she answered. "In every way that matters." And that was the truth the village learned too late. They thought a woman without a child was empty. But Nala was never barren. She was full of beginnings.